We will begin this evening by taking attendance on majority council.
Ms. Willingham.
Present.
Reedy.
Here.
Alex. Here. Misso.
Here.
Jamalowitz. Ray Joyce.
Here.
Lakakis.
Yep.
Bergdorf.
Here.
And Grimm.
Here.
You have a quorum.
I didn't hear him say
Say it.
here. Oh, okay. Okay, very good. All right, we're going to move right along now. We're going to start.
The first item is approving previous meeting minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Reedy. I got a second from Mr. Lakakis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
We're going to take item 2 and then move to item 9. Item 2 is authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 75 Clinton Avenue and 77 Clinton Avenue in the city of Albany. Mr. Neal is here.
How are you?
Oh, he's
Madam Chair, members of the committee, or members of the committee, my apologies for not being here last month. I realized this question came up and there were some answers that were needed, and I did not provide the information they needed to provide them. So if you permit me, I'll give you a simple, short summary of what this is. This is a stipulated court order. We get about 20 or 30 of these every year or two. Most of them do not need to come to the committee for any sort of review or approval. They're orders of the court. This one has a component of it, which is the transfer of the property back to the former owner, which resolves any equity issues that would arise under Tyler versus Hennepin County. The lawsuit that has been involved here has been going on since, I think, 2012 or so. The court got a bunch of information provided to them. They needed the proof of funding for the $200,000, an active loan authorization to cover the other taxes due, which is about $160,000. It required payment of the other two parcels. The delinquencies that were there were somewhere in the $14,000-15,000 range. So with all that accomplished, we got a deposit of the $200,000, which is the stipulated court order amount. What we're seeking permission for here now is to complete a foreclosure action on a withdrawn parcel and do a deed and assignment back to the former owner. This is a operating funeral home, kind of like the auto repairs and the dry cleaners. There are chemicals in use there, and they're red bag waste, things like the doctor's hospital would have. We have kept those withdrawn. This, in my 25 years here, this is the only funeral home that's ever reached this status. So there were a lot of concerns with, the liability the county would have if they, became deeded owner of it. So the intent here is to, if authorized by the legislature, to convey the property back to them. By deed and assignment, we will be in ownership all of 2 minutes. We'll take a deed and put it back in their name. They will use the property at 75 Clinton to secure the funding. They have a approved loan already that will clear the taxes on 77, and then all of those will be paid. The taxes on 77 are about $160,000.
Are you finished?
Yep.
Or do I have any questions from any members? Yes, Mr. Bergdorf.
Jeff, I'm totally confused because I'm looking at your real estate tax statement. And if you go to the last page of each one of these, let's start with 75 Clinton. It says that the principal due is $186,000 and the interest $186,688.92, and the interest due is $186,911. And the total due on 75 Clinton Avenue is $373,600. And if you look at the comparable numbers for 77 Clinton Avenue. It shows that the principal is 84.083 and the interest is 68,800 for a total of 152.9. And if you add the two parcels together, you come up with $526,500. $526,500, plus or minus, I didn't carry the dollars. Are we proposing to settle? I mean, these are the numbers here, I may be reading them wrong, but are we actually proposing that we would accept $187,000 as payment in full against 526?
No. So the interest numbers you're reading are the statutory interest under New York State real property tax law. It's a 1% per month added there. Part of the stipulated court order, which was not our suggestion, it was from the court, was that in order to settle this, the payment of $200,000 made the county whole for all of the amounts that we have paid to the municipality. So the interest charges are the statutory interest that's on there. That is not revenue received until you've actually paid the taxes. But in that regards, the goal of the court and the stipulated order, as I understand the reasoning from the courts, is they are going to consider the value of the property and the potential equity in the property as it would exist as a sale of an operating business. And under Tyler versus Hennepin County, that would be a full value, market value that would be established as a function of use of the property and sale of that that operation, that business model. We would not be able to do that. If we foreclosed, we would wipe out the $187,000, and then we would sell the property at public auction as a vacant abandoned building. The concern that was raised is that the amount the county would sell that for at public auction would be a vacant building, not an operating nursing or operating funeral parlor. And they brought up the length of time that that's been in operation, close to 100 years. And that the value of that property under that Hennepin County decision would be a function of the value of the property at the time of foreclosure, not at the time of sale. So the stipulated order is trying to avoid the county from having to potentially compensate the former owner of this property for the value of the property at the date of judgment, which would be north of what the taxes are at this moment.
Well, totally confused. I don't see how, there are other people who have questions as well. I don't see how by us, I don't know that a judge can force the county to wipe out $326,000 in funds that are owed to it. Based on this, there are lots of businesses in Albany County that have been around for 50, 75, 100 years. And based on this, why would anybody ever pay their taxes if they could get it back for the principal after ignoring the county for over 20 years?
So as I said, there's about 30 Supreme Court orders and Article 78 proceedings that have come through, and they don't come through the legislature for approval. They do exactly this. They reduce the amounts due to the county. That's a function of the state law. So those things do happen. This one came to us only because the component of this one is, I think, as Gary pointed out last time, we don't accept the 1182 reduction of interest and the process that you're referring to. We've done that a few times. We did it with the tax amnesty program in 2009. We did it with, I think, Resolution 2538 with the school taxes during COVID.
Have we ever done this before for another business like this?
There have been, in my time here, I've been here 25 years. There have been 3 or 4 of these where The stipulated order resulted in a payment of less than taxes owed.
Okay. I'd like to move on now to Mr. Demopoulos.
Thank you. Yeah. My concern is that we don't leave the county in a position and open so that a major big box comes in or some mall comes in and says, you know, they always protest their taxes. And they come to an agreement and say, okay, well, we'll pay the back taxes, but we don't pay the interest and penalties. So will this leave us open, or is this?
That's the reason we did the stipulated order, is it does not establish any precedent under law for an 1182 proceeding. It does not establish any precedent under law for anybody to use this as a precedent in a bankruptcy court or in a Supreme Court process. It is unique to this particular property and this particular issue. If everybody wanted to go into the, you know, county court, Supreme Court, surrogate court, and present these, and the judge were to agree with them all, which, you know, I've been here 25 years, this is the third one of these that we've seen.
So this is a court order?
This is a court order.
The court's saying, this is what we're gonna get, the interest and penalties we're
In
gonna
order,
waive?
right, because the problem here is the next step, which is further litigation. So if we don't follow through on this and resolve this issue, the bankruptcy courts are sitting out there as the next option. So we just had an issue with 24 Quail Street where the individual, after 14, 15 years of various lawsuits and whatnot, we finally gained title to that property. The bankruptcy court went in and vacated our judgment because it was their determination, based on the Tyler versus Hennepin County, that the property was worth more than the county was owed. So they vacated our action. We put the property back into the former owner's name, who's now going to theoretically pay the taxes on the property.
Thank you. It cleared it up for me, so thank you.
Okay, all right.
I'll make a motion, is that okay?
I'd like to make,
I got a motion, I got a second, okay?
does that mean I can't say anything?
Well, I think your colleague deserves a turn, okay? He had his hand up too. You said you can't see him.
Excuse me?
I said your colleague has his hand
Oh,
up.
I'm sorry.
Okay. All right, so I think the one thing that we have resolved here is that this has been approved by courts.
This is court ordered, yes.
Okay, it's court ordered. Okay, so your question, Mr. Drake? I'm sorry, Mr. Green.
Yes.
They
Yeah,
look a lot alike.
we had to agree to the court order, didn't we, or no?
The Department of Law represents us in court. So there are a variety of processes over the last 10 years where we've, you know, stated that, you know, these are the taxes due, these have to be paid. Multiple times, the courts came back with the 1182 section and said, well, why can't you do this? And as Gary's pointed out, we established a precedent by doing that. So we've never allowed that as a action in court. So, but in order to avoid the further costs of litigation, and especially the outcome that's most likely in a bankruptcy court, which would be for us to, if we sold the property, we would sell it for less than it was likely owed, or likely valued at that time.
Do we have any discretion, for example, how much interest we could alleviate? Was there any discretion the county had with respect to the court order?
We did not propose the court order, the court did. So we didn't make this proposal. This is we went in and
Didn't you have to
explained our
agree to it,
side.
though? Didn't you have to agree to the court order? Or?
No, you don't have to agree to a court order, Mr. Graham. He's indicating that this is a court-ordered process. It's not a proposal that the county went in with. It was done by the court, so we have very little latitude in what can be done. And pursuant to the United States Supreme Court case that he's referring to, the Hennepin case, even if we did have more latitude to go over the price that he's indicated, then it could be considered a surplus, and then we have a whole slew of other problems to deal with under Hennepin.
And the end game of this whole thing is all four properties are made to become paid in full. So the other property at 77 pays $163,000 with full taxes, fees, and interest once it's transfers back to them, because they'll be able to use the 75 parcel to secure the loan that they've already got lined up.
Okay, we're going to take, you got two questions. Yes, Mr. Commissioner.
Jeff, what happens if 2 years from now Garland folds Who's responsible for the environmental issues on that property?
Garland would be, we'd have absolutely no
Where's he gonna get the money?
What's that?
Where's he gonna get the money? Took many years to get to this point, where he could come up with some money.
I have no involvement with the environmental issues. That would be, I would assume that knowing the Garland family, they will, when they close down appropriately. Like most, most dry cleaners and auto repair shops follow a very prescribed process when they close down, and I'm absolutely confident that
I happen to remember one, Bootsy's on the corner of Whitehall Road and New Scotland Avenue. We ate it.
and we've changed our process to never let that happen again. That happened
Well,
before my
it's-
time
it's-
here.
It could happen here.
It could not, because
It
we
could
would be
not?
an assignment
We
here.
took that before.
With
Okay, so-
Oopsies, we foreclosed and took deed title to it. We
So-
don't do that anymore. We have a deed and assignment process, which keeps us out of deeded ownership, therefore we are out of liability.
I follow you. But if he goes belly up a second time, and he's got back taxes, and he's got everything, and we foreclose on the property again, he has no money to address the issue of the environmental issues.
I don't know why he wouldn't, I mean, that's.
Why he wouldn't?
I'm
Same
sure
reason
that-
he can't pay taxes.
Okay,
I
all right.
defer to
so-
them on that.
I have a motion? I got a motion and I got a second, I'm gonna take a vote.
Madam Chairwoman,
I
I
got a
have point
motion.
of order,
Wait a minute.
point of order,
Wait,
point of
I
order,
got a motion.
point of order.
Okay, all right.
What is your point of order?
My point of order was that an incorrect legal statement was made. A stipulation requires a signature. So the county was required to sign off on a stipulation.
The county attorney.
It was not a court order, it was an agreement by Albany County,
Mr.
by
Bergeron,
someone in the
I think
law
that-
department.
Let him answer you. What did you say, Mr.
He said- he
Wait,
said-
But
wait,
in the process, the court produces the court order, the plaintiff on one side, the defendant on the other, each sign that document.
So the
But it's a
county
court-
attorney agreed to this, and now we're being asked to pass it.
Did he sign off on it? Okay, so he did sign off on it. So according to counsel, that you're saying that it wasn't signed off on? Is that what you're
No, I'm saying it was signed off
It
on.
was signed
People are
off on.
saying it was a court order, and the county had no option but to
It is a
accept a court order. In actuality, it was a negotiated agreement that someone in the county attorney's office signed off on, given some direction from someplace else.
Okay, so now, that's
So
why-
now we're being asked to ratify erasing $326,000 of interest.
So now, Mr. Bergdorf?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
have the option of either voting for this or not voting for it.
Okay.
And I'm calling for the vote right now, okay? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And
Okay, and so this passes? All right.
We're going to number 9 now. This is authorizing a correction, thank you, Mr. Neal, to the tax roll for 351 Southern Boulevard in the city of Albany. This is Mike McGuire for real property
that
tax.
says, well, we can afford it. All the paperwork doesn't say.
Good evening, Audit Finance Committee. Thanks for having me. So I have a request for authorization of correction to the tax roll of the city of Albany. I'm requesting that the legislature adopt a resolution to correct a clerical error made on the 2025 tax bill for 351 Southern Boulevard, located in the city of Albany. This property is eligible to receive a real property tax exemption for commercial, business, and industrial property pursuant to real property tax law, section 485A. Due to a clerical error, the property tax exemption was not applied on the city portion of that tax bill, resulting in an inaccurate tax bill. So I'm seeking your approval to authorize the correction of that 25 tax bill and grant the exemption at the city level.
Motion.
Okay, I got a motion. Sorry, I got a motion for Mr. Commissioner, got a second for Mr. Reedy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Item 10 is authorizing a correction to the tax roll for County Route 101 in the town of Queens.
So again, correction of errors for a clerical error made on the 25 tax bill for a property located on County Route 101 in the town of Queens. The assessed value was incorrectly entered on the 24 assessment roll. the value that was entered was greater than what was actually supposed to be on the property. The assessor had provided documentation to support that from their notes in their workbook. So the property in question is a large-scale solar array that extends to multiple properties. The lease portion of the property for this parcel was actually less than what was stated on the assessment roll. So they were saying they were leasing, X number of acres, actually X minus, 10. And as such, the bill was greater than what it should have been. So again, I'm requesting your approval to be granted to correct this tax bill for the 2025 property taxes for.
Okay, thank you. I got a motion from Mr. Camiso.
Second.
I got a second from Ms. Alex. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you very much. 11 through 13 are levies for the city of Cohoes.
Yep.
Okay, so I'd like to have a motion to group 11 through 13.
So,
Okay, so I got a motion from Mr. Demolowitz. I got a second from Ms. Lakakis. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Isn't that still?
He has to, that was just a
Oh,
group.
did you?
That was just a group.
Come on back.
You want an explanation?
Come on back.
Absolutely.
Now is the time for explanation.
Sorry, I was using a motion to group them. I thought, sorry, forgive me. I don't come too often,
You tried.
11 is the amounts levied for municipal charges in the city of Cohoes. This sets forth the amounts that are to be levied and collected for city and county omitted taxes, and also the city of Cohoes re-levy fee. Amounts are in the resolution. Do you want the amounts? You guys? No? Okay. 12 is the authorization of levy for the city of Cohoes property tax. This sets forth the amount that's to be levied and collected for the actual city tax within the city of Cohoes. 13 is the amounts that are to be levied and re-levied and collected for unpaid water and sewer charges within the city of Cohoes.
motion?
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Kathy.
Second.
I got a second from Mr. Demolowitz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous, thank you very much.
Now he can leave.
Item 14 is authorizing the purchase of a parcel of real property located at 48 Howard Street in the city of Albany. Mr. Lally is here.
Good evening, Audit and Finance Committee. Thank you for taking this request. The County Executive's Office requests permission from the legislature to enter into an agreement with New York State Troopers Police Benevolent Association Holdings to purchase 48 Howard Street, right back there, for the sum of $550,000. Be happy to take any questions you have.
Yes, Mr.
Why are
Demolowitz.
we buying this?
So this parcel basically gives us half of the city block, adjacent to two parcels we own, the Amo Labella property, as well as the 48 Howard, 52 Howard, which is the old parking garage right up the
So
street.
this makes it all one
Yes, sir.
big parcel.
Okay. Ms. Bergeron.
Yeah, when we first talked about this, the idea was, and it says it's going to support the MVP's arena operations. Is that still the game plan? Because I read in an article over the weekend that this is assembling a parcel potentially for development. So which is it? Are we buying, places for tour buses to stop? Or are we contemplating selling it for an office tower, parking garage, or whatever?
Yes, sir. So it's actually both. In the short run, we anticipate using this property as well as the parking lot, which is right behind it, to support MVP functions. At the same time, we realize that the parcels put together make something of a greater value than the parts of their sum. We intend to release a request for expression of interest for the properties to see if there is interest in developing it. Following the RFEI, we plan on releasing an RFB for whatever type project it be, whether it's a hotel, a children's museum, an aquarium. I'm thinking very big, optimistic, but that's what we'd like to see. And then seeing what the market dictates and using it for the best and highest use.
So in actuality, we're acting as a developer as opposed to making space for MVP. That's short.
In the short term, MVP,
Yeah.
in the
Okay.
long term, economic development.
I
Yes, sir.
appreciate your candor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cactus?
It's architecturally different. Is it historically significant? Have you had any
I
thoughts or
believe it
heard
is.
from any?
I do not believe it is a historic property. I believe it is a contributing structure to the historic district, which does not necessarily mean that it has the same protections. There have not been funds to rehabilitate it that have come from SHPO that give it certain entitlements. When we go through the foreclosure, not the foreclosure, the purchase process, we'll make sure that finance takes a very detailed look at that to see if there's any sort of liens on the property.
Thank you. Mr. Grimm, you have your hand up?
I'm fine.
Okay. All right.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Reedy, I got a second from Mr. Demowitz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Item, then, item 15 is authorizing an agreement with the Albany County Pine Hills Land Authority regarding authority operations, debt service, and accounting of expenses, and amending the 2025 Albany County budget. Commissioner Riley is here this evening.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, thank you for reviewing this. So a few months ago, I came in front of you for the financing authorization to go out and basically sell the debt to acquire the campus. This is the first step to basically appropriate the monies needed to actually operate the campus. We had the option to do this via debt. That was authorized. We could have just done it, wouldn't have had to come back here at all. After doing some calculations, current interest rates, things like that, it made much more sense to basically appropriate some county funds, keep them in a county account. Basically, the way the plan is set up is a small seed amount, several $100,000 will be given over to the authority as they expend that for normal operations. Things break, capital improvements. They will then submit the expenses back to us. We will review them as long as everything is kosher. We will then basically re-up that pot of money, what it originally was at. So they'll have a revolving bank account there. In the interim, as I said in my cover letter, rather than have a big pot of cash sitting there that we're paying interest on if we had bonded it, this will then still sit in the county coffers. We will retain interest, basically earn interest on it, and anything that's not spent in one given year can then be rolled over through our encumbrance process, basically used for the next year, minimize costs. I don't know, any questions?
Mr. Demowitz.
All of these funds that we're putting in for these authorities, are we gonna get that money back? Are we in line as they sell those buildings to recoup these funds that the taxpayer is paying for?
So the debt agreement actually requires us to take any proceeds from sale or lease of buildings on that campus. Anything that comes in the door has to go directly to principal pay down on the bonds.
So how do we get our $100,000 back?
Basically, when you looked at a full retail valuation of the property, as was put out by JLL, the campus is worth approximately $80 million. So because of the bankruptcy, the fact that we were buying the entire campus as one, we got it for 35.
Well, I understand all that. How do we get our $100,000 back? That's all I want to know. We're putting all the money into this. When do we get it back? Besides paying the bonds down.
Once the bonds are paid off, everything, including existing assets beyond that point, become county. So anything sold after that point is straight into the county coffers. The authority only exists to redevelop the campus. Once that bond is paid off, it's done.
Was it 35 million?
It's closer to 40 million because the bank is requiring a debt service reserve fund, which will also sit in interest
So
bearing
it's
account.
$40 million to bonds. Anything after that, we start to get our money back.
Yep.
So if it doesn't sell for 40 million, it goes for 35 million to 30 million, the county taxpayer is on the hook.
Potentially.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Joyce.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You just answered my question, actually. I was looking at the budget, and I see Mr. O'Connor here, so thank you for everything you're doing for the campus. But the biggest concern of the neighborhood is site security. I don't even see it listed on here. Is there security measures in place while we now own it?
So there's two pieces. First of all, we don't own it yet, but in the payroll and benefits line, the 777, A large chunk of that is the desire to retain the 11 security guards that are currently working on the campus.
Okay, and I think
We'll
that's-
also be acquiring their security vehicles as part of the acquisition.
Excellent. And I think that's
And also, on
24/7.
top of that, the sheriff will be locating, a substation up there instead of at the courthouse. He'll be relocating from there up to the campus, so that will provide additional security.
Is that official? Is that-
I've-
Visited by the sheriff.
Yeah, okay.
To my understanding, it's going to happen, yes.
No, I think that's a good thing. I just, it'd be good to not read about it in the paper. I'm getting a lot of questions from neighbors on what the plan is, and I understand that, the process, I just,
And my understanding is the sheriff is ready to go as soon as we close.
It'd be
Is
welcome.
the closing now the 10th?
So the closing for the debt, the bonding is scheduled for the 10th. The real estate closing will happen a couple days after that.
All right. Oh, yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Mr.
thank you.
Grimm?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. It's my belief this is a risky investment. Now, why do I feel that way? Because you guys were the only bidder, the county was the only bidder at 35 million. If it was such an attractive property, why weren't there more bidders saying, hey, this is an attractive price? I even heard it was worth 80 million. Why wasn't there other bidders if it's such an attractive property fiscally?
I can't speak to other bidders. We modeled it out. And, it seems that with what we're acquiring, the current market, we've had outside experts look at it. There are going to be costs here. There's millions of dollars just laid out here in operating, but this is something that needed to be done. What would the cost of the county have been if we let this sit empty?
Why wasn't the city, this
I
is,
can't speak to the city.
it's entirely city property. Why shouldn't they, yes, we want the city to thrive as a county, as county people. But why aren't they asked to assume some of the risk that we are assuming as county taxpayers?
I can't speak for the mayor. You could call her yourself if you have that comment.
Well, because I was worried, the 35 million concerned me, but now, according to your own records, over 3 years, you expect the expenses to be 9.8 million, correct? So now we're up to 45 million. And what guarantee do we have that we're going to recoup that money?
I can't give you a 100% guarantee. Life doesn't have those.
Well, that's what risky investments are about.
All investments have some risk.
My concern is we're going to wind up with some empty buildings, given there isn't a real great demand for commercial space. God knows that from the COVID experience. So I'm not comfortable that we're entering into agreement that it has a little too much risk from my standpoint.
This body has already authorized the acquisition of the property, the debt service for the property, which I could have put all this in and not come back to you for. We can't say we can't fund an operating expense now and not have money to operate the campus when we're a little late in the process here
Well,
to say.
you're asking for 6 million. Is that coming from the fund balance?
Yes.
Which is unusual. As long as I've been here, we've been building the fund balance. This year, the budget took from the fund balance, and now we're taking from the fund balance again. That's unprecedented as far as the last 9 years
Well,
goes.
as I explained in the budget process, similar to last year, a portion of, money was earmarked that said, if full appropriations are expended and full revenues, then we would need that piece of fund balance to balance everything. We did not need that. You will see that when the comptroller closes the books.
Mr. Grimm?
Yeah.
I'm just going to move Paul, and I think I saw somebody over here. Oh, yeah. And then I'm going to go to Carl, because that's his district.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had said I had a little bit of an epiphany on this thing, is that I was really adamantly opposed to it, and I was worried about the cost to taxpayers.
Sorry.
I did not realize that we were going to be asked to put in, over the next 3 years, $9.5 million above the 35 million, and that there is no mechanism. I see one line in here says, Albany County operating costs reimbursement, reimbursable startup expenses, $500,000. I don't know who that's reimbursable to, but we're not talking about $100,000, Gary. We're talking about $9 million. over the 35.
9.8.
9.8. And unless there is some sort of guarantee that out of our sales, that 9.8 gets reimbursed to the county, I don't see putting taxpayers in Waterville and Cohoes and Colony and Bethlehem and Guilderland and every other municipality at risk.
Okay, I think he already said that he couldn't guarantee anything. I thought I heard that somewhere along the way, and I
Well,
understand.
but I had
understand-
called earlier-
I understand what your,
No, but
I
I'm
understand
not-
what your
I'm not done,
argument
Madam
is,
Chair.
Mr. Bergdorf,
Yep.
okay? And, you know, I heard Mr. Grimm, you took some of his $9 million too and put it over. So what I really would like to do, I want to hear from Epicoro, because between Mr. Joyce and Epicoro, they have a lot, you know, a say right now and the answer to their constituency as far as this is concerned, okay? Guerrero?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And just before I begin or say what I want to say, has any one of you actually walked that College of St. Rose to see what the properties are? Have you guys walked it yet? Because I know you guys usually like that. When things come up, you say, "Oh, I've like spoke to constituents and this," and I know you guys do some of those work. So I'm just asking, have you walked that place to see?
I can do better than that, Epicoro. I taught there. So I know St. Rose very well.
Okay, awesome.
I played baseball there.
Okay. No, I'm talking about specifically going to look at these properties that the county is spending money on. Have you like gone to look
I'm
around?
familiar with the campus, yes.
Okay.
I'm also familiar with the security there, and you know, how many buildings there are there, and how you travel there, where you park there. I'm pretty familiar with all those things.
Okay, awesome. So the reason why I asked that is because when you actually take a look at those properties right now, right, and the individual buildings, they are worth millions. Like a two-family home in that district, or in that place where the College of St. Rose is, a two-family home is going for $400,000 and up. A one-family home is going for over $250,000. And I know it because I have a house there. I have a house like right there. And this is what the prices are going for right now. And the big buildings, the administrative buildings, you cannot sell them for less than $1 million. And so when you put all of this together, these are multiple buildings. And when they come up with the evaluation to say that these properties are worth over $80 million, it's because the property values in that district is very high. The amount of buildings in that we are, purchasing is a lot of buildings. And we have had like people that are interested in specific some of the buildings that do not want to buy it as a whole, but they are interested in particular ones. And that is why nobody bid on the entire properties, because they do not want the entire properties. But there are people, organizations, companies, individual developers that are actually interested in specific aspects of these properties that we're getting. So I don't feel there's any way that we would get this property for $35,000 or spend $40,000, $45,000 that we don't get up to $70,000 at least from it. Million, yes. 70 million. 45,000, I'll buy everything myself. But there's no reason why I don't think we shouldn't get up to at least 70 million from this campus. So I just think this is a great deal. It's a steal for the county, I think people should support it. And if you haven't walked it, just go around and walk it. Look at the building where the county executive did the state of the county address. You can't sell that building for less than $1 million. And there are multiple buildings like that. So I think you should just walk it and see.
Thank you very much. Chairman?
Yeah, so the purpose of tonight's resolution is to authorize essentially protecting our investment. This is not a vote on the original investment. We already did that. There's no sense in relitigating it. Tonight, we are essentially You can vote no if you don't want to, but tonight, it's about protecting our investment, and this body as a whole decided that we wanted this investment. So let's not relitigate that. Tonight, it's about protecting our investment to the tune of $9 million over 5 years or whatever.
Mr. Joyce?
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to make a motion, but, we talk about risk, and I hear things like, well, this doesn't affect people in Guilderland or maybe Loudonville or Latham. Your predecessors, Nichols, Messercola, Charlie Dawson, they all said, if we lose the city of Albany, we lose Albany County. You have to invest, you have to protect these properties. We got risk in downtown Albany. This is a huge risk. If this didn't go the way it went, thanks to the Land Authority and Advanced Albany County Lines, it's more of a risk not to do this, so I'd like to make a motion to move it.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a motion from Mr. Joyce, got a second from Mr. Reedy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yay.
All right, passes.
All right,
Thank you
we're
very
going back to number 3, which is amending the rules and regulations for Albany County employees regarding health insurance benefits for retirees. Mr. Mayo is here.
Can you play the tape?
Okay. Who's talking?
I'll start and just summarize it.
All right, Mr. Mayo.
It's pretty much all the same people that were here at the personnel meeting, but I'll just start out. This was first introduced in April of last year, but there were no numbers with it. I just kind of brought it in to just run it by everybody. But what we're trying to do with this is give the employees 15 years, non-consecutive, give them the option to retire at that time with their health insurance. And also with that is the county executive added their part to it, which is 10 and 10, 10 years with the county and 10 years with another retirement system, and it would give them the same benefit. I initially introduced this as a recruiting tool because maybe we can get people back, people who left the county at one time for child care or sickness or whatever, and if they can come back, and they have to do 3 years. You can't just come back for a week and then get the benefit. You have to do a total of 3 years. There are also risk strategies has given us the actuarial numbers, and I think they're attached to whatever you have behind the resolution. The unions are on board on this, and it also doesn't affect the bond rating. And Mike Carr's here, they can talk about the numbers better than I can, the actuarial tables.
Yeah, and just to go off Legislator Mayo, the idea here as well that the county executive had in mind, and I think building off of what the legislator proposed, is the idea that rehiring or bringing in government employees, retired government employees that stepped away, and bringing them back into county service ultimately serves the county financially and operationally, those that have government experience. We talk a lot here about how we can attract employees, and it's not always about the salary because it's very difficult to compete when we have the state government in our backyard. So the idea is, how do we attract qualified, skilled employees in government, and this is what it comes down to. So yeah, as it was alluded to, risk strategies, put together actuarial analysis, looking at the impact on OPEB, and the pay-as-you-go. Pay-as-you-go is the current operating budget, so that's something that should be focused on, which shows a negligible impact. And then the OPEB is looking forward, the projection of the lifetime of individuals and the benefits that they receive over that time. So it's going to seem like a big number, but it's really just an estimated guess on the impact. But the number is going to seem big, but you have to just sort of think of every employee that retires in the future from county service, and the services are the benefits that they receive over that time. And I'll take any questions or.
Okay, Mr. Demolovitz.
There Do the retirees pay into this?
Well,
For healthcare, retirees. So
That's what we're
there-
talking about, is the health insurance.
the health insurance that's vested
Right. So
upon
when they
retirement.
retire,
It keeps the same.
after 20, do they pay into it 10%, 15, 20%? Anybody know that? They don't.
Spouses paid in, they talked about that in the
Yeah,
back.
they contribute, I
I think
suppose,
it's
about
10%.
Yeah, and I believe it is based on your start date. There was a break in the 90s, I want to say, which after that you do pay in. So prior to that, if
Yeah,
you're a
that's what I
legacy
mean.
employee.
So I don't know
don't
how
have
this
that.
affects that, though.
Yeah,
As
so
you know, good
if
question.
you go to the
I think the new
page,
ones pay.
yeah, if you go to the page after the tables, it gets into the contribution requirements. And to Mr. Lally's point, basically, if a retiree qualifies for the lower where they, originally where they didn't have to contribute, they stay in that one. If they're in the later pool, they stay in that one. Does not change.
So it doesn't change so.
Correct.
What was it, 1990?
I can get the exact
Yeah,
date.
it doesn't
for you
have
when
the
date
date.
is.
I thought it was after that, because I remember voting on
I
it.
think it's in the 90s.
Yeah,
It's in the 90s.
yeah.
I optimistically look at that.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want to, in going through the papers, okay, and looking at the changes that you want to make in the law, I would just like for you to change the New York State local. That's incorrect. It should be New York State and local, because New York State is a separate employer in regards to the local employers also. So it should be New York State and local, okay, retirement system.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'll make the motion.
I got a motion from Mr. Reedy. I got a second from Mr. Demonovitz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Item
Thanks, everyone.
4, thank you. Item 4 is table of request of sponsor. Item 5 is requesting the Department of General Services to conduct an economic impact study regarding the placement of public use electric vehicle chargers at all county properties, including vacant parcels. Mr. Drake is here this evening.
Mr. Drake?
Yeah, we had, I think previously indicated we're taking this.
That's the table at request of sponsor.
Okay, all right.
Items 6 and 7 are also tabled at request of sponsor. Item 8 is amending the 2025 Albany County budget for the Albany County USA 250 Commission.
Table.
6 and 7.
Oh, I'm sorry, 8 is not tabled, or 7 is not tabled. You're right. 7 is local law number S for 2024, local law of the County of Albany, amending the Albany County Charter, and local law number 8 for 1993 is amended to adjust the monetary threshold of the Board of Contract Administration.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Cunningham
We
is
had
here.
the public hearing the other night with no speakers. We reported this out unanimously at Rules Reform. This would update the CAB threshold from its original monetary level that was set, I think, in 93-ish. This was also a charter reform recommendation. It would trend it to the dollar value today. The CAB is a body that reviews all of the budget requests or anything impacting the budget up to that threshold. So this would simply, I view it as a modernization. The CAB is open to anybody who wants to participate. We have lots of discussions. It's sort of a parallel universe to these meetings. And I would, unless there are questions, ask for a motion and move it out.
Okay. I got a motion
Second.
from Ms. Alex. I got a second from Ms. Katz. All those in favor?
Aye.
We love
Opposed?
modernization.
Unanimous.
All right, now, for real. Item 8 is amending the 2025 Albany County budget for the Albany County USA 250 Commission. Mr. Pearlie's here.
Good evening, thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I know you've had a long agenda, and I think most people were in the room for the presentation of the personnel, so I'll spare you all an encore of the history lesson. Suffice it to say, the Albany County AMREP 250 Commission, which was established by this body last year and kicked off by County Executive McCoy, is off to a flying start. We have a lot on our plate, and as a number of additional opportunities and obligations arise as we approach the 250th anniversary of the nation's founding, we found that the need to provide some part-time staff support for the work of the commission. And what we're asking for is to reallocate a portion of our previous appropriation for the purposes of having a part-time person residing under the historian, working with Discover Albany to affect the purposes of the commission.
Just move the money around.
Exactly, no additional funding.
And it was
All right.
reported.
Motion moved.
I got a motion from Mr. Camuso, I got a second from Mr. Barlovitz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Oh, motion to adjourn?
Please. Yes, aye. Aye, aye, aye. Aye, aye.
I don't problem.